Coming Down is proudly sponsored by Colorado Ganja Gear, high-quality, artistically inspired herb grinders. So let me tell you, these things are great. I actually own one. My favorite part is the perfect consistency you get after grinding. Some grinders just pulverize your herb into dust, but the razor-sharp teeth and smooth action on these always leave you with perfect, fluffy, evenly ground herb. The craftsmanship is top-notch, made from aircraft-grade aluminum to guarantee you won't get metal shavings mixed into your herb. But the best part, truly, is each grinder features original artwork created by Colorado artist Lori Beatty. She creates unique mandalas that are laser-etched into each magnetic lid. And each grinder comes in a silk bag and has free shipping. So just go to etsy.com/shop/Colorado Ganja Gear and enter the code Coming Down in all caps for $5 off, or go to the show notes for this episode and follow the link. Thanks and enjoy the episode. Hello everyone, welcome to Coming Down. My name's Nathan. I'm here with Matthew.
Hello!
Hey man, so how's your weekend been?
My weekend has been glorious.
Yeah, dude. I got an extra day off for the old Labor Day.
Oh my god, I never get Labor Day off. This is fucking amazing. I have 3 days off in a row.
Yeah, that's insane, dude.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I've just been lazing, doing a couple projects around the house, but mostly just recharging the batteries this weekend.
Same.
So, yeah, it's been nice.
It's been really good.
Hell yeah. Well, man, let's not dilly-dally too much, because this episode is fantastic.
I know, right? We gotta let him get to it.
Yeah, totally. This is one of our friends, Zach. This story is great.
Holy shit.
Wanted to get him on for a long time, so we finally did. And I won't give anything away, because the story really does speak for itself. So
yeah.
But we'll just get right into reminding everyone about that live show.
Oh my god, I can't wait.
It is, by the time you're hearing this, less than 3 weeks away. It's September 21st, 4 p.m. at the Firkin Tavern. It is free, so come on down. Hear us tell some silly stories on a stage, which will be wild and interesting.
Right. You can hear the sounds coming out of our mouth in real time.
Yeah, totally. Which, I'm really curious how this is going to go down. But it's going to be fun. Either way, it's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be great.
So we look forward to seeing all your pretty faces down there.
Hell yeah.
So we are running a really cool contest to go along with this live show. We'll be running it up until the live show, and the best way to figure it out is to just go to the current episode, look at the show notes, and that's going to tell you in detail how to do it. But basically, just share our live show on the social media of your choice. You can share the Facebook event, you can tweet it, you can share the poster on Instagram, or, what else? TikTok? What do the kids do these days?
I mean, if you just want to send a smoke signal that's advertising our live show, and you take a picture of it, we'll count it.
Yeah, totally. So we'll get a bunch of people entered. We've got 3 copies of this gorgeous poster straight from NASA. It's actually a NASA exclusive, is what Tara told me. You could only get it at the Space Center. So
right,
and it's promoting Chandra, the space telescope, and it's got really cool deep space photos on it. There's a picture of it on the show notes, by the way. So, contest for the live show, come to the live show, all of that good stuff. Go to the website, comingdownpod.com, check out the show notes, of which we do have a couple pictures for this week, and from there you can get to all the links. If you want to get a hold of us, you can find us on Twitter there, at comingdownpod. You can email us, comingdownpod@gmail.com, and all the platforms, all the links to all that stuff is there. And the Patreon. Thank you, everyone who is pitching on the Patreon. We still love you, and we'll love you until the end of time for helping us pay for this whole thing we do.
Damn straight.
Yeah, it's so great. And we're actually getting together to record another exclusive episode tonight, so look for that coming soon. And, other than that, let's go!
I don't know how much of the story you want.
All of it,
I figured I'd give you the whole thing, but there's a little preface to it. This story wouldn't have happened if.
Want that.
Give us a preface,
Okay. Yeah.
So we like getting all
the whole story.
Well, yeah,
all right.
absolutely.
Well, the whole story is when I went to college, I went to Denver from New Mexico, and I had a 1969 Lincoln, which was amazing.
All right.
It was a fantastic car. And before I went to college, I managed to blow the engine, and I rebuilt it and put a little bit of a cam in it, and it was a running son of a gun. Not the greatest choice for a college student on a budget.
Yeah,
so,
for real, huh?
After a couple of years of 6 miles to the gallon, I decided that maybe I should do something about that. So I got the car that this story is kind of centered around, which was a 1984 VW Rabbit diesel.
Okay.
Yeah.
4-door.
I had an 83 GTI, so
45 miles to the gallon in town. I mean,
Yeah.
it was amazing. 70 miles an hour top speed if you didn't have a tailwind and a little downhill grade.
Those were like the little hatchbacks, right?
Yeah. It was fantastic, man.
love an 80s Rabbit.
Oh yeah, it was so great. In orange. It
Oh,
was
yeah.
orange.
Mine was red.
That's the picture I was trying to find, was the picture of the aftermath, and I because I'm still I'm in the unpacking process, I don't know where the hell it is.
Well, if you find it, we'll
I will
put it
totally
up.
that would be awesome to throw in the show notes and
Hell
stuff. But I didn't know if you did show notes, so
We do.
that was well, there we go.
We're always
We
looking for
absolutely
excuse,
do.
I listened to a couple of the last episodes, so I was like, all right, here we go.
Cool.
But,
Well, hold on. So take me back a little bit. So you grew up in New Mexico?
I grew up all around the place.
Yeah.
My dad was a mine engineer, so I started out in Ohio. My sister was born in Boise, Idaho. We lived in Red Lodge and Billings, Montana after that. Then we moved down to Colorado Springs.
Whoa.
Shit.
Lived out from there. We went to Winnemucca, Nevada, which is north central middle of nowhere on I-80.
Right.
And then I graduated. We stopped moving as a family in Raton when my parents split up. I graduated from high school. My sister took a year. I left high school. My sister went to Germany as an exchange student the same year that I left. So all of a sudden, my mom was going crazy with kids, and then nothing. So she had a little bit of an adjustment period, and then my sister came back.
And so after your parents split, you
my
stayed
dad
with
kept
your mom,
moving,
and your dad kept cruising around.
Well, he stayed. He was there through the end of high school for me, and then at some point he moved from Raton up to Montana, and then he moved. From down to Rangeley, Colorado.
Well, now, and what is a
Texas.
mine engineer? I mean, so he's literally
he's the one that designs how they
Yeah.
extract whatever it is they're.
So he goes out to a site and he's like, "All right, here's how we're gonna pull this out of the earth."
I mean, they're on site generally, but So they have the engineers who do the day-to-day, figure out the patterns and.
God, that seems like an
Set up.
intense job.
No
Yeah,
shit.
it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. Actually, and because the Earth is so funky,
right. It's not just one thing.
right, and so they were cruising along at the mine that he worked at in New Mexico. They were cruising along, and they were, I guess they bored the tunnels that they set up. So they got this huge machine called a continuous miner, and it has these huge spiked balls that go around,
Right.
and they rotate, and that's my dad was in coal mining, and so they just rotate, and there's a conveyor belt, and it just takes the coal out, puts it on the conveyor belt, it just chunks it up, takes it out on the conveyor belt, and then it automatically moves forward in this huge wall.
Whoa.
Yeah,
So it's the long wall, and it just
wall of coal.
chunk, and it just goes down and back and forth and back and forth, and the whole thing, and then the ceiling just collapses. But they were cruising along, and all of a sudden the coal seam just because it's all in seams, when you go through the Grand Canyon and stuff, you can see the strata and whatever.
Yeah.
And so this coal, it was a good 8-foot seam or something, and it just disappeared, and they're like, what the fuck happened? And it turned out that there's a fault line, and it just clean seam just gone, and they're like, what the fuck?
Oh, and so it's
they thought it was just
feet down or up or whatever.
It was only 20 feet down or something, but there was a major reconfiguration for the whole deal, and it shut down operations for oh wow. But that's the kind of thing that they deal with, and that's why I have the mining engineer in there. So like so he just moved around, and he lived in like Rangeley, Texas. He did a stint like doing a feasibility study in Jakarta, Indonesia.
Wow.
Like he was for a mine there, because like coal, while it's dirty, it's cheap. That's the thing, and so a lot of developing economies are still relying on it.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
And this was also 20 years ago, so there's that too.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
the denial was still a lot. It wasn't an issue as much just because it didn't exist as much because we weren't aware.
Well,
so,
we're still burning coal here in Oregon. One of the greenest states in the union.
Totally. Totally.
Yeah, hasn't gone away yet.
Right. Yeah, we're getting there, but it's a long shot. So it is what it is. But
yeah. So he was all over the place. So you were all over the place.
So we were all over the place, and then I made New Mexico kind of my home base through college. My mom stayed there until I was done with school. And so my junior year, sometime early in the year, I'd been riding my motorcycle around in Denver for the summer, which had been great because I'd been like a security guard at Fiddler's Green and the Ogden. And,
awesome.
I did a couple Mammoth shows and...
Mammoth.
Yeah, you remember the Mammoth before they remodeled it into the Fillmore? Holy shit, man. Actually, it was not to hack on Def Leppard, because I actually saw them a couple of years ago and they put on a great show. But like when I saw them that summer, they had not put on such a great show. And one of the guys, it was at Fiddler's, and one of the supervisors kind of looks over and he goes, "I think next time Def Leppard comes to town, it's going to be a Mammoth event." Which was
yeah, like they're getting downgraded.
And it was a beautiful little hack.
Yeah,
it was hilarious.
I always think about that when I see a band come through like sort of consecutively, like 1 year and then the next year. Right. And it's like they either blow way up, like, oh, I saw these guys at like the Doug Fir, and now they're playing like Roseland or something, or Crystal or something, or sometimes the opposite, where like I've seen a band at like a big place, and it's like now I'm suddenly seeing them at these little places.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
Yeah, no, that cracked me up. But so I rode. It was, the motorcycle was great for crowded concert parking and stuff, downtown Denver and all that shit. Holy hell. But also, winter.
Oh yeah,
winter in Denver.
Colorado.
Motorcycle.
After dark, that temperature just kind of
Now,
plummets.
can you get studded tires for your motorcycle?
I haven't looked into it that seriously. I'm a little averse to discomfort in general, so
that's fair.
that's fair. Yeah.
I mean, that's half the reason I moved out of Colorado, is because it's nothing but discomfort.
Yeah.
It's like the summers are way hot and the winters are way cold. So
I will say that I miss the snow until we've had it for a week here, and then I'm like, man, fuck this.
Okay,
shit.
that's enough. Yeah.
No, snow's cool for like a minute.
Yeah.
Well, and that's one of the reasons I moved away from it, is because I was in it every day. I was a carpenter digging my boards out of the snow every morning.
Yeah. And that's brutal.
My hands are cold. Fuck this.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. So like I was like, I need to get a car. And I need something that's going to get better than 6 miles to the gallon. So
so you had the motorcycle and the Lincoln.
And the Lincoln, but like the Lincoln, I was just not driving very much because, like I say, 6 miles to the gallon. I'm like, okay, I can do 40 on the bike, or I can drive the Lincoln a couple blocks.
Right.
So I started looking around, and I found one of those like crazy ass fly by night, type places, and but they had this VW Rabbit, and I took it for a cruise, and it was perfect. It was no turbo. It was old school diesel. I mean, it was it was just
not even a conversion.
It was
killer.
it was original.
And those things
it
were
was
loud,
in
right?
really good shape. It wasn't actually that loud. It was a little loud, but
the conversions can be loud. But like if you bought a factory diesel,
no, they were pretty.
I knew someone who had a
chill.
Rabbit, and that thing was loud as hell.
Oh yeah.
So
well, I mean, it also might have just been old and decrepit. There's that.
Well, and also, I mean,
it certainly was that.
You might be thinking of like this sound that diesel engines make. They kind of have that little tink that they make.
Yeah.
And that's normal, but it wasn't like super loud on that Rabbit.
Right.
Yeah. It was in good condition.
Yeah. And the Rabbit was in good shape, so
nice.
it was great. I love the thing.
Now, what year are we at here? So Mammoth.
This was 96.
Okay,
this is 96. It was the fall of 96, and so I got the car. I'm gonna say like either late September or early October, and through school, like I went to school. And I worked. I worked at this movie theater, the Mayan.
Yeah.
Which you might know. So I worked at the Mayan. I worked work study at DU, and then I also worked for my prof as a stage manager and kind of helped set up shows for her group, the Denver Brass.
What were you going to school for?
Music. I was a music major.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, tuba guy.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, it was great, but didn't leave a lot of spare time, and so I pretty early on after I got the car, like I set aside the time. I was gonna, I did skip class, and actually I don't think I actually even skipped class. I went to my morning classes and cut out orchestra rehearsals played on Fridays, but there was no. We had a small, DU had a small school for music, and so the orchestra conductor often did not choose something with tuba in it.
Fuck.
There were often a lot. Well, I played with a lot of other groups around Denver, so I got the repertoire, which was really nice. But DU did not provide a lot of that.
That's frustrating.
It was a little frustrating. I mean, I played in a lot of other groups. Like, don't get me wrong, at school too. Like, there were a lot of other stuff. Like, I got my education, but a lot of the orchestra stuff. I was technically in the orchestra, but the orchestra didn't need me a lot of times. So that was fine because, like I say, I went to my morning classes, and I actually this girl was a freshman and she was a little homesick. I was like, hey, not a come on, but if you want it, I know I can't take you. She was from Henderson, which is just south of Vegas. I was like, I can't take you to Henderson, but I can get you away from school. And she's like, sure. So we took a road trip down to Raton with the sole express purpose to register the car early on.
Okay.
I'd gotten the car, like I say, and 2-3 weeks later, because the paper plates expire and all that shit. So I was looking to be legal because cops hate me. I've been pulled over 70 times.
Jesus,
holy shit!
That's not an exaggeration.
I mean, you drive for a living now,
most of that has happened years ago. I mean, I've been pulled over, lately, but it was for some stupid, not even moving violation related. So, but it was just. At that time in particular, I had a pretty adverse relationship with the Popo.
That's a running theme on this cast.
You're good company.
Yeah.
Might sing a cop or two.
Yeah, I think there's a love-hate relationship in general with the police in this country.
That's the greatest, most...
It's a pretty politic way to say it.
Yeah, that's the best way to say it.
Yeah.
We'll leave it there.
Yeah.
But... But I wanted to be legal. I didn't want to bring anything more upon myself than I really needed to. So I was like, let's get this taken care of. So, like I said, the express reason for this trip was to go home and register this car. It happened that it was also homecoming that weekend. So
why were you going out of state to register it?
Well, I was going to school in Denver, Colorado, and I was going down to New Mexico where I was based because I was still technically a student.
Right.
And... New Mexico doesn't have nearly the strict smog laws of Denver.
Exactly.
So, you know,
it's a lot cheaper, a lot easier.
Yeah,
less hoops to jump through.
My license was still a New Mexico license because I'm
go.
still a student. I pay taxes in New Mexico, all that jazz.
Shit,
so
for a while, Arizona was giving people driver's licenses for 30 years.
Oh yeah, I had one of those.
Yeah,
my CDL expired in 2040.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was awesome. 65 years. That's. Yeah, you're allowed to go to 65 years old. So I had that license for
wow.
Yeah, so like I was like, let's go down, get the car registered, all this stuff. So me and this girl cruise on down, 70 miles an hour tops, and but make it down. Everything was good, and I go straight to the DMV, and it's closed.
Oh no.
Little handwritten sign because it's a little one-horse town in New Mexico. The lady just closed randomly. Often.
Yeah.
This had actually caused another problem earlier when I tried to renew my license, and I couldn't over an entire winter break period. I went down like 6 different times, and she's like, shopping in Pueblo, closed for the day, holiday pageant, whatever. And I'm like, I want to renew my license!
Yeah.
People in Raton actually drove all the way to Springer to avoid this lady.
Gee.
They would take an 80-mile.
Make an appointment?
It was like an 80-mile round trip that people would take. And later in my life, she was one of the first people that I ever actually had a full-on shouting match with.
Wow.
Because I wanted to get my New Mexico license back. I'd moved to Arizona for a while, and when I started driving over the road, I didn't bother keeping a house, so I just I crashed on friends, and I had a P.O. box, but it was New Mexico. I was paying New Mexico taxes. I was a New Mexico resident. I wanted my New Mexico fucking license.
Absolutely.
And she was like, you gotta, she just wanted to refuse. And I called Santa Fe, and I was like, what do I need? And they're like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, I've got that. And they're like, okay, then you can get a license. And I went down again, because she had already kicked me out. And she was like, you gotta have this. And I'm like, I called Santa Fe, and they said I'm allowed to do this. And if you don't like it, then I can tell Santa Fe that you're refusing to do your goddamn job. It was all your other nonsense. Oh God, she was just brutal. And so there I am on a Friday afternoon after a 4-hour road trip for the express purpose of getting here to take care of my car, and she's gone. I'm like, fuck. So I enjoyed the rest of the weekend, and I'm like, all right. Guess I'm going to have to figure out how to come back again someday. And that's where our story begins.
Okay, nice.
After 6 weeks of avoiding cops in Denver, after the paper plate expires, I'm driving around because I got to drive around. But the license had expired 2 weeks after that. I'm like,
so
shit.
long expired.
I'm like, yeah, and I've been taking back roads and all this stuff, and finally, I got off work at 10 o'clock one night, and I wasn't going to have to work again until Saturday. It was a Thursday night. I wasn't going to have to work again until Saturday. I was like,
here we go.
Yeah.
We got this.
Well, the new at the time Star Trek movie was opening up, and it was not Generations. It was the one after that.
So Nemesis?
I think it was.
Okay.
I think it was.
I remember that as being a good one.
Either Nemesis or First Contact. One or the other.
Okay.
But I took my student ID over to Jeremy's place and dropped that off. And I had a change of clothes on me. I was wearing white t-shirt, jeans, boots, and flannel because it was the 90s.
Refer to the picture. Refer to the picture.
And I hit the road, man. I had full tank of gas and no radio in that poor little car. Somebody had a detachable face stereo with just the stereo and not the face. So I was like, yeah. And I wasn't made of money. So I didn't have a stereo for a while. So I was cruising along, and I was praying to God, Well, and I'm an atheist, so you know that's saying something. And I made it through. I got through Denver, and I'm like, fuck yeah. And I made it through Colorado Springs, and I'm like, fuck yeah. And I make it through Pueblo, and I'm like, fucking home free, baby. And
right, because it's just stretched from there. Yeah.
Foot on the floor. I'm letting that diesel hum, doing my 70 miles an hour. And, like, I'm thinking life is good. And little did I know what was in the road ahead of me. And I'm down a little past Walsenburg, Colorado, which is in the middle of nowhere.
And this is also, like, in the middle of the night.
Yeah, and it's in the middle of the night. Like, I left town... I stopped off at Jeremy's place at like 10:30 or something and dropped that stuff off. So I probably didn't get the interstate until 11 o'clock that night. So I was probably, I was like 2 hours in, like I say, Walsenburg at about that time. And so I see this truck up ahead of me. Like I come around this corner and I see this truck ahead of me with his hazard lights on. I'm thinking blowout. Because that's what you think. And I'm like, blowout, he might be, like checking something out. So So I do the courteous thing, and I get over into the left lane. And because, like, I'm not going to stop. He's a truck, he's got a CB, he's got a cell phone. Screw it.
He's fine.
Call it good. Yeah. And all of a sudden, I'm upside down. I'm like, what the fuck just happened here? I got my hands on the ceiling. I'm like,
Jesus.
Like just hold myself there, and I'm like, the roof starts getting warm, and I'm sliding, and I'm watching the sparks, and I'm like, oh fuck, and then I'm like, I'm buckled in, so I just crossed my arms and like rode that bitch out, and I was like, what the fuck is this? And I like, the light flashed before my eyes, but I was only 21, and this was taking a while, so I got through that, and I had enough time to be like, fuck, I hope I don't hit that truck. Fuck, when am I going to stop sliding? And so I ended up...
You just had enough time to, like, process
Yeah, I'm just, like, processing all this shit. Like, what the fuck just happened here? And I'm grumpy about it, and I look like it. And I'm just sitting there in my car, upside down, going, motherfucker. Oh, shit. So the car stops, and of course... Also, I'm a child of the 80s and 90s, and what happens when you wreck and flip a car? It blows up.
Exactly.
So I'm like, God damn, I'm getting the hell out of here. So, like, I get out, and I pat myself down real quick to make sure, like, I'm all there, and I look back inside to make sure it's not an out-of-body experience. And then I get away from the car. And I'm like, let's go. Yeah. And I bumped my head on the fucking roof because I forgot I was upside down when I let myself out of this, seatbelt.
I've done this myself.
Oh, jeez. Somebody should warn you about that shit. So that's one of my things. I warn people about that at this point. I actually saved a friend of mine. She was in a car wreck, and she was like, wait. Zach told me about this, and she braced herself before and I was like, yay, BJ.
Oh, like, let herself out of the seatbelt.
Before she let herself out of the seatbelt, she got braced, and, she's like, thank you, Zach. And I'm like, yeah, go, BJ.
You gotta get ready for that, or you're just gonna land on your face.
And like I say, I was so pissed that I was just, when I was done moving, like, I just, fuck. Got out, got away from the car, go across the interstate to the truck driver, and he's got his cell phone up to his mouth, and he's obviously talking with somebody, I don't know who. But I walk up, and like, I don't want to interrupt him because I'm pretty polite and everything, and he goes like this. He kind of puts the receiver down and just pivots it from his ear, and he goes, "You okay?"
Because he saw the whole thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And I was like, yeah?
Define okay?
And he's like, there anybody else in the car? I was like, no. Man, you should have seen this dude, man. He just flipped his goddamn car. You should have seen the fucking sparks, man. That was amazing. He went from, like, Johnny Cash to Boom Howard. I was like, what the... And I still didn't know what the fuck happened.
Right.
And he's not talking to me, so I'm like, what the fuck? So I march back in the middle of the interstate, because at that time of day you can. Like, there's no traffic. There's no traffic.
Sure.
So, like, I march back. I just get into the fast lane and I just fucking march, beeline. I'm like, what the fuck? And about turns out 397 feet. We'll find out later. Back in the fast lane in the middle of I-25, in the middle of the night, is a dead black cow.
Oh, shit.
That I hit probably doing 60, 65 miles an hour.
Oh, my God.
And I slid 397 feet on the roof of that car.
I mean, that cow's not going anywhere, and you're in a little car, so...
I lost it. I was so pissed. I was like, you mother... And I started kicking that son of a bitch. No. And jumping up and down on the motherfucker. I was like, you son of... Loves that car! 45 fucking miles to the gallon, and you killed my car! And I calmed down after a couple minutes.
How am I gonna register this thing now?
I was at a complete loss. I was like, motherfucker. And I calmed down. I'm like, okay. Because this is the way my life is. I already know that. And I start walking directly towards the truck driver, who's in the breakdown lane. And that's when I see, because I had tunnel vision when I was just walking back. But that's when I see that I missed the dead black cow in the slow lane that I couldn't have missed. I was going down one way or another. I thought I was being punished for being a nice guy. No, I was fucked one way or another.
There were two?
There were 2 dead black cows in the road, one for each lane. I was like, that is some horse shit, and I lost it again on that one.
That is some witchery, is what that is.
Yeah. I was like, what? And I lost it. And again, same deal. I was like, I couldn't have missed. Fuck. And kicking and jumping and collected myself again. And I went up to the truck driver and I was like, what the fuck, dude? And he was like, what? And I'm like, there's dead black cows in the road. What? And he's like, well, I got a call back on the CB, and I was driving along and I was watching, they told me there was some black cows by the side of the highway there, and I was watching them cows on the side of the highway, and I hit the ones in the middle. And I'm like, come on! And
Jesus,
he's like, yeah, I hit 4 or 5. Well, there's one for each lane right there. He's like, well, I hit 4 or 5 of them. I was like, well, there's only 2 dead ones in the middle of the road. You want to help me? Move one? And he's like, those things are heavy, man.
Yeah, dude.
And I'm like, did you see what just happened?
He's just so nonchalant.
And he was just complete. And I don't know if it was because he was lightly in shock or just didn't give a shit. But I was like, come on. And he's like, man, if they hadn't knocked out my headlights, I wouldn't have been here anyway. I was like, are you kidding me?
Oh my God.
So yeah, this guy's only hanging out because his headlights were out. Awesome.
Wow.
And so, while this is going on, time does keep ticking. And,
yeah, I was like, when's the next car coming?
yeah, well, that's what you'd think, because it's the interstate. And even if it is the middle of the night, there's traffic. And sure enough, pretty soon I see a set of headlights on the horizon. I'm like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
And so
your car is still just
upside down in the median, though. I slid off into the median, and landed in the dirt, and that was that.
So still, there's just a semi in the breakdown lane and a car in the dirt,
and two cows in the middle waiting for their next victim.
The trap is still set.
Oh yes. And I'm like, oh shit, this is not good. And so I take off my flannel. Remember, this is a week before Thanksgiving in November of 96, and
so the fact that it hasn't snowed yet is a miracle.
Yeah, I mean, it was dry and warmish, for Colorado at that time of year. So I take my flannel off and I run way in back of the cows and start waving my flannel, and the truck driver yells at me. He's like, hey boy, don't worry about it. I'm like,
what do you mean?
What are you talking about? He's like, that's the Teamsters, they're gonna block off the road. And I was like, what? Huh? Obviously not a lot was clicking around.
Well, you're
with
still
me,
in
but
shock.
Yeah, I'm totally in shock at this point, and the adrenaline is pounding. But
right. You just got done kicking the shit out of two dead cows.
Yeah. So, there's that. But it turns out he was not wrong. It was semis. He'd radioed back and put it out.
Fuck, man, if you'd just been like 10 or 20 minutes earlier.
It would have been fine.
Yeah.
Maybe. But what happened was like not one, not two, but 6 trucks stopped, blocked off the road, and stuck around for like half an hour, maybe 45 minutes, and like just kind of let people, and as truckers do, they get out and they're shooting the shit and
right,
just staring around the circle or whatever, and one of them's looking at me and he's like, "Hey man," I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Is that your car over there?" I was like,
"It was."
"Yeah." He goes, "You might want to go turn it off."
Oh shit!
With my cat-like reflexes, before I'd thrown my hands to brace myself on the ceiling, I'd thrown the car in neutral. So it was sitting there idling, upside down, which, again, is testament to German engineering and the Volkswagen diesel, man.
Right?
I am telling you what.
That's kind of fucking
It was
insane.
amazing.
Yeah.
They're not made to run upside down.
No. And so I go back I go back over to my car and I turn off the engine and I turned off the headlights because you'd hate to waste the battery.
I mean, why would you? Yeah.
So yeah, there it was. I was like, well, shit. There's that. So, and after I get done turning the car off and turning the headlights off and everything, I go back to the drivers and I'm like, so when you guys maybe want to help me move this cow? And they all, there's 6 drivers there. I don't know how many might have had like team drivers with them or whatever, but like they all just kind of look at me blank. They give me just this blank look and they're like, those things are heavy, man. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And nobody will help move these fucking cows. And then like it was like, when you see like schools of fish like all just change direction at once, or like the big flocks of birds, like they're flying and they just change direction all at once. Out of nowhere, all of these 6 guys are just like, well, time to go. And I'm like, but there's cows in the road. And they're like, I got an appointment in Albuquerque. Time to go. And they're just like jump in their trucks and start heading down the road. And I jumped on one guy's running board. I was like, dude, cows, somebody could die. And he's like, got an appointment, gotta go.
Wait, what the fuck was the plan here?
To block off the road for a little bit, I guess. We're waiting for the popo. But they're a no-show at this point. So I'm like, fuck.
Right. It's going to take forever to get whatever authority comes out and deals with that.
So yeah, like they just blocked off the road as long as they could manage. And then they had to go. And so there we are, me and the original truck driver. And we're like, fuck. And so,
wow.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. And then, so like there we are hanging out, and after like another 20 minutes or something, there's another set of headlights on the horizon. I'm like, I'm betting that's not the Teamsters. So I need to take off my flannel again, and I'm like waving that son of a bitch around, and I'm guessing that the lady who is driving the car doesn't like the looks of that hippie son of a bitch trying to flag her down.
Oh no!
She's not even a courteous driver and doesn't get into the fast lane, and she hit the cow in the slow lane, and I'd never seen a car get air until then.
Oh my god!
And she got full air on that cow.
Holy
and
shit.
Kudos to this lady. She should have been some kind of stunt driver because she kept that fucking car in her lane.
Wow!
It bounced like 3 times. Every fluid possible came out of that car that car had in it, probably including her urine. But like, it landed and stopped.
Wow!
It was just like, poof. And
she stuck the fucking landing.
Holy fuck! It was amazing.
So she didn't flip.
She did not flip. She ramped.
Whoa.
My cow was apparently at just enough of the angle to. And I flipped, and hers ramped.
Well, maybe you kicked it into a slope.
Well,
something, yeah,
maybe you were braking,
but,
and like the nose of your car was down a little lower.
Maybe something. Who knows? But like, I wasn't braking. I had no idea. Like, I had no idea that was
1 second you're hauling.
Yeah, it was just like 1 second I'm hauling ass, comparatively speaking, in a 1984 VW Rabbit diesel.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so this lady sticks that fucking landing.
So you went end over nose.
No, what I did was kind of a barrel roll.
Oh, okay. So you went up off the cow, barrel rolled on the side.
You hit a skinny side on one end, and then
it was
the cow on the other.
Yeah, and yeah, it was like and then just and then it took me straight over and then slide, and hers. You know, she hit the ramp. You know, like the legs. It was just laying there, you know, and she hit the legs and up into the air and then down and but she stuck it in her lane. It was amazing.
That's impressive.
And so I was like, well, I guess we got a lane blocked. You know, like that was my one of my first thoughts. I was like, I hope she's okay, and we've got one lane blocked now, at least. There's that. Right. Because her lights still work.
Yeah, so she can put on her hazards.
I opened up the door, and she was, like, out of it. She had no idea.
Like, hold on. Like, none of these fucking truckers had flares, like...
Right? This is what kills me. Like,
road triangles,
I was not
nothing.
I was not thinking clearly, and I'll get to this. But, yeah, like, no triangles, no road flares, nothing. Like, they just, they saw the shit.
Fucking damn it.
And and, so, like, I opened the door, and this lady is out of it, and what had happened was her airbag had gone off.
I was going to say...
She was driving
old lady style. There's got to be an airbag in one of these cars, even though it's the 90s.
She had it was a brand new 96 Mercury Contour. She had rented it. I didn't ask at the time. I really hope she got the extra. I really hope that she got the extra insurance. That's all I'm saying.
All right.
But she was going on a road. She was going on a road trip to visit like her daughter or something. You know, I found out later, and so like, but she was driving old lady style. And when the airbag went off, because airbags were
old lady style
new,
is like at the 11 and 1.
Yeah, exactly.
On your steering wheel.
And so when the airbags, which were relatively new at the time, so I'll give that to her. But like she wasn't thinking about the fact that it was going to explode, because who would think that you're gonna, your airbag is going to explode? And she just knocked herself stupid.
Yeah.
When the airbag went off, she just
blasted her fist right into her face.
In her teeth.
I opened that door and she was like spitting teeth and some blood and was just knocked stupid. She's like, "What happened?" I was like, "You just hit a cow."
Fuck.
And I don't know if that made it better or worse for her, because like that's not what you expect to hear when you just had that wreck. You're like,
sir.
But yeah, that was what happened, and so
you just tenderized a side of beef.
So she was obviously in not great shape, so we got her up into the truck driver's cab to keep her warm and, whatever.
Yeah.
But, and then it was ugly. And, then,
it's turning into a situation.
And then, right?
And of course,
time keeps marching. And so, pretty soon I see another set of headlights, and I'm like, fuck, let's hope that these guys...
You're like, hey, could you maybe put your back into it over here? Like, they're not believing my hippie ass, so, like, I only need you to be a little more professional.
Yeah, the driver is just, like, on the phone or whatever.
I can't believe this other trucker is just doing fuck all.
Just chilling and watching the carnage.
It was something else.
Oh, there's another one.
This was entertainment for him or something.
He could have fucking, thrown you a bone, too, But
God, no.
Just going to wait for the Teamsters.
Wait for it.
And now that they're gone,
good
fuck
luck
everyone, I guess.
Call it a day.
What a piece of shit.
Yeah. So I get waving back the cows again, and I start waving my shirt again, and this time it happens to be a truck driver who had been too far back to get the radio call, or maybe he didn't have a CB in his truck or whatever. And but he was alert. It was like 3:30 in the morning, but he was alert, thank God. And he wasn't scared of the hippie boy, thank God. And so he started slowing down, and he'd gotten into the fast lane because, like I say, the slow lane was blocked.
Right. Yeah, he could see the hazards from the other car.
He could see, so he'd gotten into the fast lane, and he'd slowed way down, and he was probably doing like 25 or 30, and then... And he flipped his brights on and everything, and then he sees the dead black cow in the fast lane. And I saw he had his like red light on in the cab. You know, a lot of trucks have a red light in, and it helps kind of keep you awake and everything, but it doesn't reflect.
Yeah.
And so I could see him kind of see the cow in the fast lane, and I saw his eyes get a little big, and I heard the air brakes. They kind of.
Yeah.
And I heard the air brakes go, and I watched the guy, like, turn his wheel, you know, the big-ass wheel. It was a cab over. He starts turning that wheel, and then he sees the cow in the slow lane. He's like, mother! And, like I say, one was about 30 or 40 feet in front of the other, and he was like, oh, God! And he made it around both the cows. Like, he had the trailer in the fast lane, and the front of the cab in the fast lane, and the back of the cab, you know how the trucks kind of bend.
Right.
So he had one cow on either side of the cab in each deal, and I'm like, hell yeah!
That is sick.
It was impressive. And then what I also now can appreciate professionally as another driver, because that's what I do for a living, is like he backed that motherfucker off, snaked it off into the breakdown lane like nobody's business. It was impressive. He just like, whoo! Backed his truck off and goes, man, that was close. And I was like, right?
Think about here waving a flannel around.
And he gets
to this other fucker.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Well, and what I loved about this guy, he gets out of the truck, takes a look at the cow, and he's like, you want to get that thing off the road with me? I was like...
And then you're like, those things are heavy, man.
That's exactly what I told him. I felt like kind of an asshole, but I was like, I'm willing to give it a try, though. And he's like, oh, good. I was like... And he goes, I think if we scoot this end over this way and flip it over that way, it'll be off the road. And I was like, damn, Skippy, let's do it. And so...
Right, you don't have to drag the whole thing at one time.
No, we just, we pulled, one end of the cow over and then flipped it off, and it was off the road. We're like, win!
Wow, so you actually did, man.
We managed to get that thing off the road. And
See, I didn't think that would be possible, because cows are so
Cows are
they
heavy.
really are insanely heavy.
You fucking move one leg at a time, and eventually it's the whole cow.
I guess you can flop it around, yeah. Okay. All right.
But, yeah, it was a great relief to me. I mean, it was maybe a little over the yellow line there, but it was off the road.
Yeah.
And it turned out that this guy had been a medic in the Army. And so, like, he went and took a look at the lady, and he was like, yeah, she's probably concussed, but, like, not life-threatening. Sure. And so, this is kind of, this is where things kind of finally started to become almost sane again. There still weren't cops yet, but, like, for the rest of the night, when cars came through, like, the slow lane was blocked, and the cow was still there. But, people would cruise through, and, you could watch them understand as they got through, like they would cruise through. The fuckers would not slow down, but they would zoom through in the fast lane and then realize as they see the car flipped in the median and the other car that's just bleeding every fluid possible, and then the knocked out lights on the truck and everything, and you would see them kind of do a little swerve, like, oh my god, what did we just miss? Thank God. And none of those fuckers stopped, though.
No.
Screw them. That's all I'm saying. Fuck those people.
I mean, there was a semi pulled over, so like you said, usually you would think a competent semi driver has it handled. They've got radio, they've got things.
Yes.
Yeah, but I want to say here in Oregon, at least one person's gonna slow down and be like, do you guys need a hand?
There is that.
Yeah.
I'll give you that. But yeah, no, it was a mess. But
that is crazy.
So finally,
so fucking nuts, dude.
So finally,
Jesus,
the portion of the evening that I was really not terribly looking forward to after my unexpected bit was the cops showed up.
Yeah.
And, I was glad that the cops showed up.
Now, how long between you hitting the car, of this other nonsense?
It was a minimum of 3 hours.
What? 3 hours?
Yeah, it was a minimum of 3 hours. Wow. I didn't get to the truck stop in Trinidad until about 5:30 in the morning.
Ugh.
And so I, when all else was said and done, you know, so like we're getting to the said and done part though. So the cop finally shows up. Ambulance shows up for the lady, picks her up. You know, tow trucks have to come out, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So the cop, though, he needs to do his investigation. So he gets his little wheelie thing, and he looks at me and he's like, man, hop in the car. You look freezing. I was like, thank you. Yeah. And I'm a little miserable, and I'm not sure how near I really want to be near the cop because he's about to see my car.
With the expired
tag.
Oh, no!
So
there's no way out, you know.
I know. Like I've been dreading it all night, right but off. I'm like, where the hell? So yeah, and I get in the car and he gets his little wheelie thing out and like he gets to the cow and he's like, hey, good job getting the cow off the road. I was like, thanks, man. I tried earlier, but not a lot of luck tonight. And he's like, yeah, this was definitely a rough night. How? You know, he's like, how fast do you think we're going? And he goes through the whole spiel. And I was like, the car does 70 max, so I'm pretty sure I was under that. And he was like, yeah. And I'm like, I'm thinking probably 60. I let off the gas a little when I saw the truck. And he's like, yeah, that. And he gets the wheelie thing out. And
the little, like, tape measure
to see how far I slid, you know, to make sure that I wasn't insane. And he gets the spotlight on, and he's looking at the car. And he sets it, and it lands right on the paper plate that's expired by like a month and a half. And he just kind of looks at me. And I'm like, officer, believe it or not, and I realize that this is a stretch, but believe it or not, the sole purpose of this trip was to go register this car. I work 3 jobs. I'm very busy. I'm a student, and I'm just trying to get home to register the car, which is obviously not going to happen now. It's like, that sucks. I was like, yeah, it does. He's like, I think you've had a bad enough night. I'm not going to cite you for that.
Oh, man, that's cool.
And I said...
It's kind of... That's even still just like, gee, what a guy.
Yeah.
What a fucking friend.
In some ways, yeah, it's like, you know...
Are you not going to write me a ticket after the night
for
that
my totaled car?
Yeah. Like, cool.
Yeah.
And I'm still thankful, because, like, he was at least a decent guy. And I told him, I'm like... Can I just get you to promise me that? And he's like, he's a little puzzled by that, and I was like, really? Like, and he's like, I can hold you to that, and he's like, oh yeah, I like, you've had a shit night, and I was like, so I can hold you to that. And he's like, yes, I'm not gonna cite you. I was like, what the fuck took you so goddamn long? And he kind of, you know, he's like, he didn't know what to say to that for a couple seconds. I was like, I don't mean to be an asshole, and I'm not yelling at you specifically, but like, what the ever-loving fuck took so long to get some goddamn cops out here? Yeah. Somebody could have died. There are black cows in the middle of the goddamn interstate. And he's like, well, after 11 p.m. on weeknights, we don't patrol. And I was like, are you shitting me?
On a fucking interstate highway?
Dude, but those stretches, man.
There's long stretches of nothing out there.
I get it.
Just nothing, man.
I get it.
And I was like,
Oregon had like 3 state cops. I get it.
Dude, like Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, Nevada, like there are just these stretches of highway, dude, and you like it would just be pointless to patrol them. Like there's just nothing.
And that was it. Yeah, that was it. He was just like, yeah, we don't patrol after 11 p.m. on weeknights. That has since changed, and I think possibly because of my ass.
Could have been.
I yelled at him a little bit. I think it surprised the fuck out of him, but like he's like, we just don't patrol after 11. I was like, so what? Where are you coming from? And he's like, well, Trinidad, but I live half an hour out of town. So like, I got the call.
So they
in the
like
middle of the night.
They woke him up out of bed.
He's like, I had to shower, get into uniform, and like, cop uniform is not you know,
Right.
a joke.
Right.
He's like, I had to go into town, pick up a cruiser, check that out, and make sure I wasn't going to have a problem on the way out. And then I had to come all the way out here. I'm like, you know, fair enough.
You're like, I guess.
How
guess.
how can I, you know, like, I can't be that angry about it, but like, holy fuck, you know, I was like, that is some shit. And he's like, I totally get it. I totally get it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
all right. So, like, yeah, I rode in with the truck driver, and yeah.
The second guy or the first guy?
The tow truck driver.
Oh, the tow truck driver.
The tow
Yeah,
truck
okay.
driver. Can't, you know, he...
Oh, right, because all the, like...
all the cars were
all
totaled.
the people started...
All the cars were
Well, yeah,
totaled,
and then all the
you know.
people started showing up. Like, the
Right.
cop, the tow truck, the ambulance.
The rancher, you know, who
Yeah.
I almost punched. He was like, I lost cows here tonight. And I was like, I almost fucking died. And
Yeah.
like,
and
the
this
cop...
other lady almost
Yeah.
died.
Like,
Like,
why
there's
the
a lady
fuck were
go-
his cows in the road? Like, God damn it.
Well, apparently this was a regular thing for this asshole, too, is he just did not keep his fences up. And so...
fuck.
State maintenance has, you know, like, they have routine deals, but it's supposed to be a double barrier on interstates. Like, so there's a state maintained fence and then a personal maintained fence.
And he was
just letting the state take care of it, and you know, the state maintenance only required a certain thing. So as long as the state showed its logs that it was doing its checks, like, they were, you know, unculpable, and he was not culpable because all this crazy shit. So it was a pain in the ass, and I got to Trinidad at like 5:30.
So basically, you didn't really have any recourse for, like, your insurance, right? Like, this dude wasn't responsible.
If I had been thinking about it, if I had been a little more on my game, you brought up the very thing that should have been who I sued. I should have sued the trucking company.
Exactly.
Because it is law that you're supposed to get triangles out within 5 minutes of being disabled.
Oh, wow.
And so
Absolutely.
he should have at least had triangles out for his truck, if not just across the fucking road. Like,
Well, this
if it had
dude
been
sounds
me,
like a
Yeah.
total...
he was a total tool.
Yeah.
The dude was a complete and utter douchebag. But, like, you know, if it had been me, like, currently, you know, as a professional driver that I am, like, I would have just taken the triangles and put them straight across the road, you know? So, like,
Yeah.
stop. Just
Exactly.
fucking
Just
stop.
fully
Like, and I would have been
stop and
manned
then-
there and, like,
Yeah.
waving shit. And, you know.
Because there was enough room to get around the cows.
Oh, yeah, you totally could have
you'd
gone.
stopped.
If you'd slowed the hell down to
Yeah.
like 20 miles an hour, realized there were some dead black
Right.
cows on the road,
If a truck
and
driver
gone around.
can do some
Yeah.
nifty shit with parking between the fucking cars,
Right, yeah. No,
then
plenty of
someone
room to
in a
get
car
around.
can slowly get around them.
Totally. And so the funny thing is, this is not quite done. So
I'm sure. Yeah, I want to hear all the aftermath
Yeah,
of this too, because, like,
I got to
Jesus.
Raton. You know, my mom was actually going on a choir trip, so she sent a neighbor up, and he was this Greek guy who's
Oh
hilarious.
yeah, so you got to.
I got to ride with the truck driver down to Trinidad.
Trinidad.
The tow truck driver who
Yes.
took your totaled car down to Trinidad.
and knew a guy who would buy the car totaled, you know, for the
Sure, for the
motor and
scrap,
stuff,
yeah.
scrap and all that. And he was like, "Yeah, just sign over the title." And I was like, "Here you go."
Yeah,
And
it's gone.
as it happened, I had the title since that was the very purpose of my trip.
Right.
So I was like, "Here you go," and that was done. But
Bye bye rabbit.
yeah, that was that bummed me out. But this Greek guy
God.
came up to pick me up. He was my mom's neighbor. My mom was going on this choir trip, and she was already, you know, on her way by the time I got done with the nonsense. And I had sat there with the truck driver. He's like, or the tow truck driver. You know, he's like, "I'll wait with you until your ride gets here." I was like, "Thanks." You know, so that was cool. Got to warm up a little bit. Came up, and this guy Nikos, he came in and he was like, "Zach, is that your car on the tow truck?" I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "You had an angel riding with you, man." yeah. Because he's like, "And you're okay?" And I was like, "I got a little scratch right here." And he's like,
You're like, I
"Fuck,
bonked my
get in
head.
get in the Jeep, let's go." And I was like, "Let's go." So that was that.
Man.
And I got down to Raton and took a little nap on the couch for a couple hours, and I went to go see a buddy of mine who's a lawyer down there. And he was like, yeah, the roads and the fences and the bullshit. And he was like, there's not a lot of recourse for good suing there. And like, I didn't give him the full deal on the truck driver and the no reflective stuff. And so it's not 100% his fault. Like, he should have, I think he should have maybe like asked, hey, can we sue the truck driver? Is there something, did he do anything wrong?
Right, like pulling the taffy on that a little bit would have been, behooved him.
Yeah, he could have gotten a nice settlement.
Exactly.
Trucking companies do not carry small insurance policies, I can tell you.
Right.
And they were clearly negligent.
Yeah. So, but he didn't, I didn't, we didn't think about it.
Yeah.
But I also knew a couple guys who ran an insurance agency. And so, like, I was like, well, fuck it, let's go over and talk to those guys and see what, maybe stuff might be covered for or whatever.
Sure.
And so I walk in, and these guys were like, Zach, how's it going? I was like, it's been a rough night. And they're like, dude, you will not believe the story we just heard this morning. I was like, was it about some dead black cows in the middle of the interstate? And they're like, how'd you know? And I'm like, I just pointed at myself, and they're like, no. And I was like, yeah. And they're like, what the fuck? And I'm like, that's what I was going to ask you guys. And they're like, we cover the rancher. We can't really talk about it. I'm like, fuck!
No! No!
Yeah, so they had heard about it already because the rancher had called the shit in and was like, yeah, we might have a claim. So, yeah, like, I walked away with a claim. They wrote me a check for, like, $2,000. Yeah, like, that's what I got. And this great story. But, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that was that.
Damn.
So.
How much did you pay for that car?
$900.
Okay, so
back in the 90s. I mean, so I walked away with a little bit.
You came out ahead technically.
But yeah, it was a pain in the ass though.
Oh yeah, dude, of course.
Thank goodness you didn't actually lose any teeth like that poor fucking lady.
Oh yeah, no, I would have made him pay for that shit.
Yeah, right.
I would have made him pay for that shit. But
thank goodness that you came out.
Yeah, if I had come out in any form minus anything but my car, like, I probably would have started, like, looking at every possibility to sue. But at the time, I was a little, I was not looking to retire at that point, like,
right.
I wasn't trying trying to find that little reason to sue somebody for the life out of them, like.
Right.
So,
yeah.
But it was, so here's the really dumb aftermath. Like, I ended up stuck in Raton for a couple weeks, and my friend JD came through, and he was,
right. How are you gonna get home now?
Yeah, so like my friend Jay came through, and he was like, "Hey, you want to come up to Pueblo and play in the pet band and whatever." And so me and JD and this other guy TJ, we all go up to Pueblo, and JD was tired on the way back, and so like, I'm showing TJ, like, where I hit the cow and where I stopped and all this stuff, and I'm, like, re-traumatizing myself and shit. And I'm like, let's just get the fuck out of here. So I, get through, go through Trinidad, and then we get up onto the pass, and I'm just trying to get us home. And on the pass, there's a fucking deer. And I'm like, oh, God. And TJ's like, dude. And I'm like, I see him. And I hit the brakes. And the deer wanted to die. He was like facing. He just jumped across the median, and I was in the fast lane. So I swerved, so that he would, how did this work? One way I went the way that I thought, like, he was going one way, and I went what I thought was going to be behind him. And he turned around.
Right.
Oh, geez.
This is why I was taught you never swerve for deer.
You don't swerve for deer.
Yep.
But yeah, so like, he turned around and wanted to die, and I took out, I hit him right square on the jaw. And just took out his head. Like, right on the headlights. So like, I had this just boom. So yeah, like, after being traumatized by the cow, like a week later, I hit a deer. First deer I'd hit. And I'm like, I'm done. I'm just done driving for a while.
Yeah.
Right? Now I'm a professional.
Yeah, right? Yeah. That would have turned me off completely.
Awesome. Yeah.
Well, at least you're driving in a place that generally doesn't have deer or cows on the road.
You'd be surprised.
Well, I was going to say,
Oregon's got there's.
I used to live next to Mount Tabor, and there's definitely deer up there.
Well,
as well as coyote.
And well,
there's cows not that far.
We go out of town too. Like when I was working for the mail contractor, I was driving up 97 outside of Redmond one time.
Oh shit! I grew up in Bend.
There was there was a fucking horse just freaking out by the highway, and I called highway patrol. I was like, dude, there is a horse freaking out right now. He's gonna like run into the road and get hit, and they're like, no, we can't really do anything about it. It's open range up there.
What do you mean?
It's open range up there. I was on the res.
Yeah.
And
once you get up to Warm Springs, it's open range until you get to like government camp.
Yeah. So
we used to joke about the forest cows because they have all those signs. But, it's like just a cow like. And you're like literally still in the national forest.
Yeah,
it's like
forest
look
cows.
At these mountain cows. Like,
So that's it, man. That's the cow story,
dude.
Jesus,
and the fallout.
Yeah, that is wild.
It's a little fucking rabbit.
Yeah, the rabbit killing cow.